Another major story we are tracking this weekend, the Supreme Court striking down President Trump's tariffs. Justice Kavanaugh speaking out about Friday's ruling, saying, quote, in essence, the court today concludes that the president checked the wrong statutory box by relying on IEPA rather than another statute to impose these tariffs. Now the president is taking matters into his own hands, writing on Truth Social, quote, it is my great honor to have just signed from the Oval Office a global 10% tariff on all countries, which will be effective almost immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter, as he so often says. The president says that his tariffs are also good for national security.
Tariffs have likewise been used to end 5 of the 8 wars that I settled. I settled 8 wars, whether you like it or not, including India, Pakistan, big ones.
And take a look at this. This is the positive financial impact. According to the Tax Foundation, U.S. revenue started to soar this year. Look at January. There was a huge jump, $27.7 billion. Let's bring in National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett. Kevin, my former colleague and friend.
Good morning, Kaylee.
I watched the Democrats last night, unfortunately, breathlessly attacking the president. Let's start with the great economist Chuck Schumer.
It's thrown America into chaos. All of the promises that Trump made is going to bring back manufacturing jobs, they're lower. It's going to lower prices, prices are higher. It's going to create a new way of bringing, of a trade deficit. Deficit's worse.
Is that what's going to happen?
Gosh, the one thing I can say, Kaylee, is that that it's a State of the Union season. And, President Trump is laying out his accomplishments, the State of the Union this week, and they're going to be very carefully documented and fact-checked. They're the exact opposite of what Chuck Schumer's saying. Now, with respect to the tariffs, President Trump told us from the beginning that we had to have a backup plan and a backup plan for the backup plan in case the Supreme Court ruled against his first try of doing it with IEPA, which is a completely defensible way to do it, by the way. And so isn't it wonderful to think about how well organized he is, that the same day that we get the Supreme Court ruling, we come out with a backup plan that's just as good. And that's the way President Trump operates.
Yeah, that backup plan was quick. He deployed it within 24 hours, less than that. Let's bring in another great economic voice. Elizabeth Warren here last night.
Oh, dear.
For him to sit there and, put his fingers together and smirk about the fact that the American people have lost on average somewhere around $1,500, $1,800, $2,000 per family, and that's just okay with him because he sure doesn't intend to send it back. That is fundamentally wrong. Scott Bessent is not there just to lick the boots of Donald Trump.
Last time I checked, real wages have gone up.
Right, by about $1,400 last year. And so people are better off. And frankly, it's going to be, the numbers are going to be way bigger once people start getting their refunds for no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. The bottom line is that under Joe Biden, under Barack Obama, we had 12 years where basically real wages were stagnant or declining. And for President Trump, except during the COVID years, they've been going up around $1,400, $1,500 a year. And so people are way better off. And again, I can't wait for folks to go through the facts that we've assembled for the State of the Union. They're going to be very, very pleased with what President Trump's accomplished.
Yeah, I can't wait to see those. There's a good story to tell, and you'll be telling it here come Tuesday. I also want to bring people back down memory lane. Back when Bernie Sanders was a big supporter of tariffs, and he excoriated anyone who thought differently. Listen to him here.
We need to not worry about manufacturing in America, because what we should establish is a policy of unfettered free trade. We don't need tariffs. What we need is to allow corporate America the freedom to throw American workers out on the street, throw them out on the street, because somehow, Madam President, we are going to create wealth in America.
So if you didn't pick that up, Kevin, he was using a little bit of sarcasm to mock those who are against tariffs. Right. Boy, how far we've come.
Right. Well, the bottom line is that President Trump saw something that a lot of academic economists didn't see, that Bernie Sanders saw as well, that American workers were being harmed dramatically by China entering the WTO. There's now a big academic literature that shows that deaths of despair and fentanyl and all that kind of stuff really took off when China came in and started destroying jobs. And so, it's just a shame, really, that Democrats, when we're out there defending the American worker and documenting great progress in creating jobs for them and lifting their incomes and reducing murder and so on, that all that kind of stuff that we're doing, you think that it would be celebrated. Then people would think, well, how did they do that? I want to even do more of that. But instead, they just have to oppose President Trump no matter what happens, no matter how good the data get. And I don't think that's going to work well for them as a political strategy.
Yeah, I think there's a word for that, or a phrase rather, that President Trump uses to describe that ideology. Is it TDS? Right. Is it Trump derangement syndrome? I think that's what it is. Kevin Hassett, thank you.
That's what he says. Yeah.
That's what he says.
Great to be here.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.